Hey everyone. So I'm going to help you out with significant figures. Part of it's going to be review of the significant figures rules, and then we will go into calculations involving significant figures. So let me share my screen and we will get started. All right, so your significant figures rules. First rule is very easy. All non-zero numbers are significant. So something like 72, both are non-zero numbers, so you have two significant figures. Then we get into the zero rules, and the rest of the sig fig rules are zero rules. Sandwich zeros are zeros in between non-zero numbers. Sandwich zeros are significant, so something like 702 will have three significant figures because that zero in between the 7 and the 2, is sandwiched. Then we have leading zeros. Now be careful with the idea of leading zeros. Leading zeros are zeros before non-zero numbers. Any zero before non-zero numbers are not significant. So something like 0.002 has one significant, the 2. So then you get to trailing zeros. Now, Mr. P's video and the flipping physics video had just one rule for trailing zeros. I made two rules of it. But anyway, trailing zeros without a decimal are not significant. So something like 200 without a decimal only has one significant figure, and that being the 2. The zeros do not count because they're trailing without a decimal point. Then trailing zeros with a decimal point. Now be careful with this definition. This does not mean zeros after the decimal point. It could be, but if we are talking something like 0.002, those are leading zeros. But trailing zeros come after non-zero numbers. So trailing zeros with a decimal point are significant. So that's a basic rundown of the significant figures rules. And then now we have to worry about looking at working with significant figures. So working with significant figures, really it's significant figures or decimal places. It depends on the operation that you are doing. So let's just begin, because Mr. P's video began with addition and subtraction. So we can do addition and subtraction first. But anyway, addition and subtraction, when you are adding and subtracting, you need to look and see the numbers you're adding, figure out how many decimal places are in each value, choose the lowest decimal place, the lowest number of decimal places, and then round your answer to that many decimal places. But the biggest idea when you are adding and subtracting is you are looking at decimal places. So if we look at the exit ticket that I posted on Google Classroom, and the first one that we are doing where we're adding is number 3. Forgive my horrendous writing. But we have 12.01 plus 35.2 plus 6. So in 12.01, we have 2 decimal places. 35.2 has 1 decimal place. And 6 has 0 decimal places because it's a whole number. So we choose lowest, so 0 decimal places. That means we need to round our answer to 0 decimal places, or in other words, a whole number. So we get 53.21 in our calculator. We have to round to 0 decimal places, so we have to round to the whole number. So 53.21, we look at the 3, the number after the 3 is a 2, so we keep it as 53. Number 4. We are subtracting. Again, addition and subtraction are the same rule. So 55.46 minus 28.9. 55.46 has 2 decimal places. 28.9 has 1 decimal place. So in our answer, we need to round it to 1 decimal place because our fewest decimal places is 1. So we get 26.56. That's what our calculator spits out to us. Now we have to round that to the first decimal place. So the number after the first decimal place is a 6, so we're going to round up to 26.6. So that's addition and subtraction. So then your other rule for calculations with significant figures actually looks at the number of significant figures. So multiplication and division, what you're going to do is look at significant figures. So you are going to determine how many significant figures are in each of your factors. And you're going to choose the lowest amount of significant figures and then round your answer to that many significant figures. So in the exit ticket, the first multiplication and division we have is number 1. We have 1.35 times 2.467. In our calculator, we get 3.33045. So we need 1.35. I forgot to walk you through this, but 1.35 has 3 significant figures. 2.467 has 4 significant figures. So we need our answer rounded to 3 significant figures. So 3.33045. The first 3 digits need to be significant, and we look to the last digit to round, and the number to the right of the last digit to round. We round our answer to 3.33. 2. We are dividing, which is the same instruction, same rule as multiplication. So number 2, we have 1035 divided by 42. So let me walk you through this. 1035 has 4 significant figures. 42 has 2 significant figures. So we need a rounded answer with 2 significant figures. Our calculator is going to spit out to us 20. Sorry, no. Our calculator is going to spit out a lot of numbers to us. 24.6428. That gets the point across. But we need to round this 24.628 to 2 significant figures. So the first 2 digits need to be significant. So we look at the 4, we look at the next number after the 4 is a 6. So we're going to round our 4 up to 25. So 25 is the correct rounded answer. A harder one is number 7. 150 divided by 4. We have 2 significant figures in 150 because that 0 is trailing without a decimal. So that 0 is not significant. And then obviously 4 only has 1 significant figure. Your calculator is going to spit out 37.5. Now we have to round that to only 1 decimal, or sorry, not decimal place, but significant figure. We need to round the first digit. We can only keep the first digit as significant. So the 3 rounds to a 4 because there's a 7 after it. However, we still need to reflect the magnitude of 37.5. And 4 is definitely way different than 37. So what we're going to do is round to the nearest whole number, but round to the nearest 10. So the 3 is going to turn into a 4, and that 7 is just going to round to a 0. So this is 40 without a decimal point. And because we don't have a decimal point, that 40, that 0 after the 4 is not significant. So when you have to round, when you need fewer significant figures, all you have to do is round to the nearest tens, hundreds, whatever, and turn the rest of the whole number into zeros. So hopefully that clears up some confusion. Sig figs are you just kind of need practice over it, but hopefully that clears up some confusion. And as always, if you need help, let me know. But thank you very much for learning with me today. I enjoyed learning with you.